but we have come to identify the company as the part of the organization that leverages that existing business model. And the difficulty and the relentlessness, in your words, that come with that is that companies need to have a second operating model alongside the operational efficiency, which is their renewal mode. And they need to be very, very stringent on optimizing their core running concern, because that's where the money needs to be made in order to support the more innovative part. And I guess that we've seen lots of examples over the last few years of companies that have founded corporate garages or startups of their own, or incubator labs, and that was successful to some extent. But what you see is that the biggest challenge is actually in incorporating the two and making sure that you get this, what is then called the ambidextrous organization, that is an organization at two speeds. One is the going concern that's highly optimized, it's very efficient, it's making lots of money. And there is the innovation stream that constantly tries out the new products, the new business models, the new customer segmentation. But there also needs to be an interface between the two. And I think that's where the difficulty arises. That how do you transfer the new into the existing company?
Yeah. You know, when you say renewal, it looks like a company is like a live entity. When you need, like, some of the things are dying, and you need to make sure that it's renewing themselves with new like cells in order to make it sustainable, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a good business associate of mine pointed out that not only do you need to look at the renewal, you need to look at the discontinuation. You very explicitly need to look at the discontinuation of the old to make room for the new, because lots of time when I said, at the beginning of this talk, is that innovations are sort of like competing against their own company, and that's because they are competing for space and attention and money on growth. And by discontinuing the old and actively replacing it with an innovation, you gain a strategy for renewal in your company.
Yeah,
and that makes sure, if you have that strategy in place, if you have a mechanism for that, if you will, where you decide at one point that a particular innovation has gained enough traction, has scaled up to the extent where it becomes sensible to replace the old with the new, actually two very interesting things happen. The innovation then becomes mature, but it also changes the organization. So a lot of times innovations die and suffocate because they need to be pushed into the framework of today's organization. So they need to adhere to our existing enterprise architecture. They need to work with people that have particular competencies or skills. They have to fit in our existing processes. So the existing company is very determined to push the innovation, to mold the innovation to the existing organization. And what we should actually spend time on as leaders in organizations is to explicitly discontinue the products and services that are being replaced by the innovative products and services, or make room for new products and services that will sit alongside our existing models, and then change enterprise architecture, competencies, processes, maybe partnerships with other companies, and make room for that, explicitly make room. And then the organization becomes the live entity that you talk about. It's never, the one fixed set that will remain and give us the biggest return on investment for the next 5 years, but it becomes a live entity.
Yeah, it looks like a very complex situation, because I could just imagine a CEO that needs to handle these like two very contradicting goals. One is like stabilizing what you have and growing it, and then the other one is like changing what you have and doing something different at the same time, which is challenging.
When I consult